Once upon a time, in the small town of Ravenbrook, lived two inseparable best friends, Emily and Lily. They had known each other since they were little, sharing secrets, dreams, and laughter. But as they grew older, something changed between them. A disagreement tore them apart, causing Emily to stop talking to Lily, her lifelong confidant. The days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Emily's heart grew heavy with regret, but she couldn't bring herself to reach out and mend their broken bond. Meanwhile, Lily's desperation turned into an obsession. Consumed by loneliness and resentment, she began to stalk Emily, silently lurking in the shadows, watching her every move. At first, Emily didn't notice, but as the days passed, strange occurrences began to plague her life. It started with subtle hints, like a misplaced object or a flickering light. Emily dismissed them as mere coincidences, attributing them to her own forgetfulness or the faulty wiring in her old house. But Lily's sinister actions escalated with time. Late at night, Emily would hear faint whispers, barely audible but filled with malice. She would find disturbing notes left at her doorstep, bearing ominous messages that sent shivers down her spine. Paranoia seeped into Emily's soul, causing her to question her sanity. One stormy evening, as Emily sought refuge from the pouring rain, she heard a familiar voice calling her name from outside her window. Trembling, she approached the glass, peering into the darkness. There stood Lily, drenched and disheveled, her eyes filled with a madness Emily had never witnessed before. "I miss you, Emily." Lily's voice quivered with a mix of anguish and anger. "We were supposed to be together forever. Why did you leave me?" Fear coursed through Emily's veins, her heart pounding against her chest. She locked the window, retreating to the safety of her bedroom. But Lily was relentless. Night after night, she continued to haunt Emily, her presence growing stronger and more menacing. One fateful night, as Emily lay awake, her room plunged into an eerie silence. She could sense Lily's presence lingering in the air, an invisible force surrounding her. Suddenly, a chilling gust of wind blew through the room, extinguishing the candle on Emily's nightstand. Darkness consumed her, and a feeling of dread filled the air. As Emily's eyes adjusted to the blackness, she noticed a faint glow emanating from a corner of her room. She gasped as she realized the source. A pale figure, dressed in tattered clothes, floating just inches above the ground. It was Lily, her face twisted with a mixture of anguish and rage. Terrified, Emily mustered the courage to confront Lily, her voice trembling as she spoke. "Why are you doing this? What do you want from me?" Lily's ghostly form trembled, her voice an icy whisper. "I want us to be together, Emily. Forever. If I can't have you as my best friend, then no one else can." Emily's heart sank, realizing the depth of Lily's deranged obsession. In that moment, she knew she had to break free from this terrifying cycle. With trembling hands, she reached into her pocket and pulled out an old locket, a symbol of their friendship. "I'm sorry, Lily." Emily choked back tears, her voice filled with determination. "But I can't go back to the way things were. It's time for both of us to move on." As Emily spoke those words, the room filled with a blinding light, and Lily's ghostly figure vanished into thin air. The haunting presence that had plagued Emily's life finally dissipated, leaving her shaken but relieved. It seemed as though the weight of Lily's obsession had finally lifted from her shoulders, and she could breathe freely once again. But the scars of their broken friendship would forever remain etched in Emily's heart. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. Emily focused on rebuilding her life, surrounded by new friends who brought her joy and laughter. However, the memory of Lily's haunting presence lingered in her mind, a constant reminder of the darkness that once consumed her world. One evening, as Emily strolled through the park, a familiar face caught her attention. It was Lily's mother, Mrs. Jenkins. The woman's eyes welled up with tears as she approached Emily. "I'm sorry, Emily," she said, her voice filled with remorse. "I had no idea what Lily had become. She was always such a sweet girl, but something changed in her. I couldn't save her, and for that, I'm truly sorry." Emily's heart softened as she looked into Mrs. Jenkins's grief-stricken face. She realized that Lily's torment had affected more than just her own life. It had shattered an entire family. "I understand," Emily replied, her voice filled with compassion. Sometimes things become too much for us to handle alone. They stood there, two broken souls, finding solace in their shared pain. Mrs. Jenkins reached into her pocket and pulled out a worn photograph. It was a picture of Emily and Lily, arms draped over each other's shoulders, smiles lighting up their faces. "I thought you might want this," Mrs. Jenkins said softly, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Lily cherished your friendship more than anything in the world." Emily's hand trembled as she accepted the photograph, tears blurring her vision. In that moment, she felt a mixture of sadness and gratitude. Sadness for the loss of a once beautiful friendship, and gratitude for the lessons it had taught her about forgiveness and the importance of cherishing those we hold dear. As Emily walked away from the park, clutching the photograph tightly, she made a silent promise to herself. She would never let the bitterness of the past consume her again. Instead, she would honor the memory of her friendship with Lily by living a life filled with love, kindness, and compassion. The tale of Emily and Lily serves as a chilling reminder that even the closest of friendships can succumb to darkness. It teaches us the importance of communication, forgiveness, and recognizing when a relationship has become toxic. And as the years pass, the legend of Emily and Lily continues to be whispered among the residents of Ravenbrook, a cautionary tale of the consequences of letting resentment and obsession take hold.